Welcome everyone to the Moisky News for July the 8th, 2020. Today I would like to talk about Brexit, because some progress has been made and rather interestingly the EU might be the ones to compromise on one of the key issues surrounding trade. Last night Michel Barnier and David Frost, chief negotiators for both sides, met at an informal meeting, a dinner date, to discuss this key issue, which is fisheries. Essentially, the EU want us to remain a part of the common fisheries policy, or to obey their rules on it, thereby giving access to our waters to EU member states, which is a huge no from me and quite a lot of us over here. We'll have no French stealing our fish, or anyone else really stealing our fish. We need to be able to replenish and regenerate our stocks. We cannot do this sufficiently if people obeying EU laws are coming in and plundering all the fish and then dumping back those that either go over a quota or are not of the correct size because they have failed to fish correctly. The hints that Michel Barnier may well concede or compromise on fisheries, and that the EU may in turn also be willing to compromise, which is progress to be honest, was said during a House of Lords Select Committee, that the bloc could water down its current stance on fishing if we also compromise. I would point out the House of Lords Select Committee is a literal joke of unelected morons talking to an equally unelected moron. According to the transcript of that Select Committee, Michel Barnier said, "I recall that for the European Union things are simple and clear. The fisheries agreement that we want with the United Kingdom would be an indissociable part of the economic agreement on trade and the level playing field. Or to make it even more clear, there will be no trade agreement with the UK if there is no balanced agreement on fisheries. Is this balanced agreement the British position as it is? Certainly not. It is the European position as it is today? Clearly not. If we both dig in our heels on those positions, there will be no discussion or agreement on fisheries, and therefore no agreement on trade. That is not what we want." Truth be told, it is quite nice to see that the EU might well compromise on something, because they have been up till now considered utterly inflexible, inflexible, unwilling to bend on their own set of standards and rules, even if that means risking no deal, because honestly, they're trying to make us bend to them on everything, not realizing it's called a negotiation, not a hostage situation, with us being the terrorists. With the EU's position always being for the common fisheries policy to remain post-Brexit, and for EU member states to be allowed to fleece our waters, this was always going to be a challenge. During Brexit, the referendum itself, Nigel Farage correctly pointed out many flaws when it came to the common fisheries policy. There were protests done by the wealthy on fishing boats in the Thames. Do you remember that? Yes. It's nice to see those who hide their money abroad tell the peasantry how to live their lives and how to vote. An official spokesman for Number 10 said that while the talks this evening are informal, they are likely to cover everything from what the EU calls the level playing field through to governance structures. Brussels has demanded that we ensure fair competition by adhering to EU standards on workers' rights, state subsidies and environment. For the level playing field also, we're not allowed to undercut other businesses by, competing fairly. We're also not allowed to bail out companies, even though the UK is renowned for doing it all the damn time, and the amount of subsidies we provide to, air quotes, private companies is at present its own damn meme. The current stage of negotiations and talks are going to be continuing today, because they had previously fallen apart, so we are a little bit behind. The deadline for requesting an extension has now passed. That was July the 1st. A voice chat between Boris Johnson and Ursula von der Leyen was expected when those last chats fell apart to reignite the negotiations. I personally think they should have live streamed it on YouTube for lols, like an internet blood sport stream. because I'd love nothing more than to hear Boris and Ursula shout at each other. But it will be, and back onto topic, it will be very interesting to see what progress can be made by David Frost and Michel Barnier, whether the EU will start to move when they realise, actually, you kinda need to work with us, or you suffer even more. Many want the EU to fail. I personally don't care, because I'm a United Kingdom citizen or subject to the Crown. My interests are very much not the EU. When they make a mistake, I'm going to point and laugh. And they do need to start showing some flexibility, because you cannot expect us to leave you for you to then still control us. That is not what leaving should mean. And it should be the case that if we can then negotiate a deal that is, air quotes, fair, other nations that may well choose to leave in the future will also be able to do that, knowing that they themselves can also be treated fairly. Just because someone leaves doesn't mean they're your enemy, and you shouldn't treat them as such. With this, I would love to know what you think. Do you think the UK should just walk away, WTO, move on? Do you think that perhaps the EU should show some flexibility? Or do you think the UK should turn around, bend over and brace itself? It's that time of year again. Please do let me know in the comments down below.